spirit for the Lord, I can't turn down. Talking too much, bruh, it's time for you to learn now.
So what they hearing, get offended, get now. That's why we have single-parent households. That's why we have broken marriages. That's why we have people gangbanging and killing each other in the streets. And we look at that stuff and say, hey, I don't know if that's okay or not. I don't know if I should have a problem with that. But brothers are dying on a regular basis, and we want to sit here and argue against that and say, no, we shouldn't do what God says. We should continue to gangbang and sleep from woman to woman, have drugs in our communities and not care. How you doing, my sister? What's going on? What's your name?
David.
What, say your name again?
David.
David?
Yeah.
David. Okay, David, what are you doing out here today?
Getting some fresh air.
Getting some fresh air. Let me ask you a question. Why do you bleach your hair, sis? What made you want to bleach your hair, blonde it? My name is Jasadi, by the way.
Just because.
Just because you think that it makes you look prettier and things like that, right?
No.
You just like it better?
I just wanted to try something new.
You wanted to try something new?
Yeah.
What made you decide to go with that look?
Something different.
Something different?
Yeah.
So the reason why I ask you this is because a lot of times we see women in the magazines, right? TV, or even our family and friends, they bleach their hair, right?
Yeah.
They do these things because they think, oh, this looks better. This is something new. It's going to make me feel different, look different, be better, right?
Yeah.
Right. But again, we got to understand that God gave us a natural beauty. For you to say, you know what, I don't like my natural look, I need to change it to be blonde. What people have blonde hair? Naturally, what people have blonde hair? Do Mexicans naturally have blonde hair?
Bring it up.
No, what people?
Any people.
No, not any people. What people? Be real, sis. Be real with me. Be real with me. What people naturally have blonde hair?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
White people.
Yeah.
You say, yeah, so you knew that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So guess what? It's naturally white people. So the problem, the reason why we do these things is because we see white culture, we see white people, and we say, hey, you know what? If I try to emulate that, if I try to bleach my hair, if I try to look like them, I'll feel better about myself. My life will change. My life will be different. But check this out, sis. God says you're an Israelite. You should have pride in how you naturally look. Check this out. Let's see what the Bible says about whether or not we should still be bleaching our hair and blonding our hair. You got that?
The book of Leviticus, chapter 13 and verse 29.
So, sis, reason why we're emphasizing this because a lot of times blacks and Hispanics, we really hate ourselves. We feel low about ourselves, right? We feel insecure with our lives. And we say, you know what, anything to make me feel better, look better, the only thing that's going to do that is following after white culture. Because they seem to be doing better, right? Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah.
You say yes, exactly. And that's the problem because we've been beaten down so low. But check out what God says. Read that.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 3 and verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
We're not supposed to envy them. And the reason why we do is because God says we envy them, not the oppressor. They oppress us. They make us feel like nothing. They put us at the bottom. When you look in our society, when you look at in Hispanic communities, do you feel like we're living rich or poor?
Poor.
Poor. We're living poor. When you look at white communities, do you feel like they're living rich or poor?
Poor.
You really think they're living poor? You think they're living like the Hispanics?
No.
No. Come on, sis. Let's be real. They're not living like the Hispanics. They're living above us. We're at the bottom, and they set up systems. They say, hey, your family can't come across the border without a green card, right? They come into they took your land. They beat us down and stole your heritage, your history of your people. And now they say, you know what? And because of that, we feel so low about ourselves. We feel so empty and hate ourselves. We say, you know what? The only way for me to get better is to look like them and be like them. Maybe they're doing something right. Not understanding that they just beat us down so low to make us feel less about ourselves so we can never get better than where we're at. So we can never see God in ourselves. Because you're an Israelite, sis. You're Mexican, right?
Yeah.
You're actually an Israelite from the tribe of Issachar.
That's right.
That's what you want to understand. That's why you shouldn't have the blonde in your hair. Because guess what? Trying to be like them isn't going to make you better. Be like your foremothers. Read this again. Read this. Listen.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 3 and verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
It says, envy thou not the oppressor. Don't envy the person that oppresses you. We've been oppressed by white people, have we not? Have Hispanics not been oppressed by white people in history?
Yeah.
They have.
So what are you doing?
So we gotta stop envying them, right? How you doing, my brother? What's your name?
Leo.
Leo, my name is Decided. Are you Hispanic? Black? Hispanic. Would you say Hispanics have been oppressed by white people throughout history?
Bring it out.
Huh?
Bring it out.
Bring it out. Say it again?
What did you say?
Do you feel like Hispanics have been oppressed by white people throughout history? Sis, how do you say your name again? Tel Aviv says yes. What do you say? You say yes, right? And when we get beat down like that, don't we look up at white culture and we say, you know what, I want to get out of the conditions I'm in. I want to do better for my people, so we got to be like them. Doesn't that happen?
Yeah.
It does happen, but it's only because they beat us down so low. We got to understand, God made us better than what we are. But because we broke his commandments, we're now at the bottom looking at a people that hate us for guidance. This is what we got to understand. These are the reason why we feel so low about ourselves, the reason why a lot of our sisters want to bleach their hair, right? The reason why a lot of our brothers, we shave our faces, because that's what white culture says is how you're supposed to carry yourselves. Because we lost our culture. Read this.
Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed us. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help.
Right? We look for help. Our eyes are failed. We have no hope as a people.
Bring it
right?
out!
We really don't have any hope. We're looking for a people. It says for a vain help. We're looking for people who hate us to help us, to give us guidance.
That's right.
We're looking for people who put us in the goods, in the barrios. We're looking for the people who put us in the barrios to say, hey, here's a way to get out the barrio. But they don't want you to get out of that. They don't want you to get out the hoods.
That's right.
They don't want you to better yourselves or your people. And again, these things happen because we're looking to a people that hate us for guidance. We're looking to, instead of God's commandments, we're looking to a people that hate us instead of God's commandments. Finish that up.
Yes.
In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
And guess what? They can't save us. No amount of welfare is going to help the Hispanic woman and Hispanic man. No amount of political assistance, right? No amount of laws are going to better us. Any laws that they put in place, has it better us as a people?
Bring it on!
Has it stopped the violence in our communities? No, you said no.
That's right. I said no, but
Right? You said no, it hasn't, right? It hasn't stopped. So we got to really think about, we got to take a step back and say, should I continue to look for these people for guidance to help myself and my people, my family? Or should I turn to something else? Is there something else out there? Because you keep bleaching your hair thinking that's going to help you, because you think you want to be different, you want to feel different, but did that change your situation? It didn't change your life. You're still the same person, right? How many votes do we cast a year for a governor, for a mayor, for a president? And what did that do to change our communities? What has that done for us as a people?
I got to look at something.
You can't think of one thing, right? And that's the problem. We keep looking to America. We keep looking to other people to help us instead of turning to God's commandments. That's what's going to help us. Understanding that y'all are God's chosen people. Are you a so-called Mexican? Cuba? Cubano, okay. So guess what? Saying you're a Mexican, you're Israelite from the tribe of Issachar. You're Cuban. You're an Israelite from the tribe of Mesa. That's who you are. You're God's chosen people. And the only thing that's going to help us get out of these conditions is turning back to the laws. Because think about, in a lot of Hispanic households, is there a lot of divorce? Is there a lot of single mothers? You both nodded your head yes, right? There is. There's a lot. What law that's been passed has helped us in that?
Bring it out!
What law has been passed that's helped stop single-parent households and divorce from happening in Hispanic communities?
Bring it out!
Not one. Stick with me. I'm going to show you one law before you go. I'm going to show you one. Hebrews 13:4. Just something that we can apply simply in our communities, because this is what's going to help us. Are you currently married? Great. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Are you currently married, my sister? Okay. Have either of you had sex before you had been married? Yeah. He's like, hey, man, I did what I did. You did too, sis. And again, these things we think is okay because that's what taught in popular society.
Right.
It's not right. But we follow that. And we say, you know what? This is much better me. But again, you said we have a lot of single-parent households, you have a lot of divorces. What's going to help? Let's see what God's word says is going to help. Read.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 13 and verse 4.
Bring it out.
Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled.
God said marriage is honorable and all. Now how amazing would that be if that was emphasized in the Hispanic community? That's not emphasized in the Hispanic community. All the artists, the music that comes out is talking about having sex outside of marriage, being promiscuous, how many women you can sleep with, how many men you can get with, right, my sister?
Yeah.
Right? These things are happening. In the news, they're pushing, hey, you should have the right to abort your child because you wanted to have sex, you don't want to take care of it, you should abort the child. They're not passing laws that say, hey, you're required to be married. They're not saying before you have kids, before you have sex. But that's what God says we should be pushing in our neighborhoods. That's what's going to make the difference. That's what's going to make the difference. All right, check this out. Listen to this. Finish that up. Start from the top.
Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. But whoremongers and adulterers, God will judge.
Guess what? When we have sex outside of marriage, when we step outside of our marriage, God's going to judge us. Those are the things that... Now, let me ask you this. How do you think we're being judged by having sex outside of marriage? How do you think we're being judged by having sex outside of marriage? Yeah, how are we being judged though? What does that look like? What does that judgment look like for us as a people? You're not sure you can't quite put the words on it? What would you say, sis? What does that judgment look like? Because God says you have to be married before you have sex, otherwise you'll be judged. So what does that judgment look like? You said it looks like nothing? You don't think it's happening? That's the trick that's been played on us in America. That's the trick. The biggest lie you've been told is that God's commandments, God's laws, don't have consequences. And that we're not seeing those consequences today. Again, we just agreed, just single-parent households. We have single-parent households, do we not? That's a consequence of having sex outside of marriage. Because what happens with the kids that grow up in single-parent households? Matter of fact, who here has grown up in a single-parent household? Have either of you? You say yes. What did you do when you were a young man and you grew up? Were you raised by your mom or your dad? Huh? Just a little? By your mom? Okay, what happened? Let's see. What happened with you when you were a young man growing up? Did you get in a lot more trouble than you would have if you had both parents in the house? You said yes. What type of things did you do? What type of things did you do? I know myself. I was running out in the streets. I was getting high, smoking weed, talking to girls. What were you doing? You said many things. Many things. Right? How many sisters do you know, whether in your family or friends, that grew up in single-parent households? A lot. Now you tell me, how do most of those women turn out? All right, we dropping off a package? Okay, well hold on, because it's the Sabbath day. We got you, I got you. We'll let you go in a second. I want to finish this up real quick. How many sisters do you know? And what happened to them? How are they living their lives? Did they end up having sex with a bunch of men? They end up promiscuous. Did they end up heartbroken? Did they end up in bad relationships? Abusive and otherwise? You see, these are consequences. That's the judgment of God in Hebrews 13 and 4. That's the consequence. But we have to be able to look at our lives and see that the way we live it today is a curse. It's hurting us. And that's a direct consequence of breaking God's commandments. That's a direct consequence of not having marriages in our households. Now you got sisters that are living like whores. They're being abused. Young men running in the streets, abusing women, not being proper men, just sleeping around. And now our community is worse off for it. That's a direct consequence of breaking God's commandments.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.